Try this again. Okay, now. It says you can't rotate while you're filming. What in the world? Oh, well, we'll have to go like this then. Figure this out. Am I on? Live? Check 1, check 2. Type in there, let me know if we're broadcasting correctly, not crazy, not sideways. Emcee want to take over Native Wellness Institute. We got a power hour of power here. I'm jumping in, taking over the feed. Okay, Shailene, be my help out there. Let me know. Type in, let me know if I'm doing this right. Looks all right. We'll just go up and down. Told me I couldn't turn it, so we'll just go like that. I think you can see everything. I'm gonna give some time here for people to clock on. While people are clocking on, I want to give shout out and props to NICWA, National Indian Child Welfare Association, also NOYSE. It's NOYSE Foundation. We appreciate it. Making this possible. Also, Native Wellness Institute, thank you for your love and your trust. Appreciate you letting me do this takeover today and share a few things with the people. So see people logging in now. So we'll get up and running here shortly. Just a couple seconds. Appreciate you visiting my home here out of Oklahoma City. All right. Thanks, Kathy. Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll be talking today about being old school in the new school, right? And how that relates to we're going to reprioritize some of what's important or what we think is important and how we used to think. This little lockdown has switched some things up for us and gave us some introspective time to think. So, hey, what up? I see you, Eileen. We got a few people here. We might just jump in and let people come in as they find themselves available to do so. I'll put all my disclaimers up here at the front and say, Hawaii, Jaje Weekday, Marcus. Hello, my name is Marcus from Osage, Potawatomi, Delaware. Puerto Rican on my dad's side. Let's see if this helps. Check, boom, boom. All right. And so, yeah, I've been asked by Native Wellness Institute to take over the feed today. And so I will do that, and I will share with you a few things. But really, more than anything, it was about how this time that we're all, on lockdown and quarantining and the government, we're all in this whole different space, a headspace. It's an opportunity to reevaluate some of the things and reprioritize some of the statuses that we used to try to achieve and used to put value on. And so, and with that, how we relate to one another and the value of those relationships. I'm just real thankful right now that as we're on day like 31 of quarantine here in Oklahoma City, and the idea that how blessed I am to be quarantined in a healthy environment with a family that's supportive, and there's no violence and there's no threats. And that's not the case for everybody. And so how we form relationships and what's most important, we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about where priorities maybe should shift. So I want to give maybe a formal welcome. I did it earlier, but I'm going to continue to thank those that are now joining us for the Native Wellness Institute. This is the Power Hour. I think this is, I don't know what day it is, but we do this 7 days a week healing and wellness messages, all right? And once again, that's by Nikwa. We appreciate Nikwa's help. And Noise, N-O-Y-S-E Foundation for making this possible. And so, what's up, Robert? And so, yeah, I'm going to jump in if you guys don't mind. I'm just going to jump in, give you some background before we unpack some of the deeper issues of today and all of that. Kind of give you some background on how I come to the equation here. There's a philosophy that governs a lot of what has been my framework, if you will. So a backstage pass into the behind the scenes of how I operate and what's been helpful for me to get to this place of quarantining in a safe and healthy environment with the relationship and family that has we're not perfect, but we have trust and the things that matter, right? And so what got there is this philosophy or framework or foundation of what you step towards, you attract. So what you're stepping towards, you attract. What you attract is going to follow you around and bring miraculous opportunities for more of the thing that you're stepping towards. It's crazy how it works because it's like a law of physics almost. You step towards it, you attract it. And then miraculous opportunities open for more of the thing that you're stepping towards. And we're going to talk about how to reprioritize the direction of our steps and why that's important. You think I should just jump in? I'm going to jump in. And disclaimer up front, because I am a scroller, so I scroll, I check out, I watch for a minute, I hit the like button, and then I scroll, and then I check back in. This will be recorded, so if you're a scroller and you want to come back and watch this in its entirety, man, feel free to come and go. Feel free to ebb and flow with us. Once I jump in, I'm just going to kind of keep going, and you'll be able to review it later. And then every now and then, if I see something pop up here and we want to address something that pops up live, I'll try to do that. If not, I'll try to visit some of that stuff here at the end. Save some time for some Q&A if that's something that you guys would like out there. So with that said, this framework of what you step towards, you attract, works regardless of what you're stepping towards. So if I step towards entertainment, I attract entertainment. Miraculous opportunities open for the thing that you're stepping towards. I step towards entertainment, and then miraculous opportunities that follow me around, and they would open up. Now, if I step towards drugs and alcohol, what do I attract? I'm going to attract more drugs and alcohol, and miraculous opportunities for more drugs and alcohol will present itself. It's crazy how that works. If I step towards thuggery or violence, what am I going to attract? It's going to follow me around, and then weird opportunities for that are going to manifest. Whether you're stepping towards positive or stepping towards negative, you attract to yourself. And miraculous opportunities, I mean miraculous opportunities, open up. For instance, as I continued in the entertainment field and got to become the official DJ for Nike N7, get to work with my brother Taboo, the Black Eyed Peas, and so some crazy miraculous opportunities begin to open up. All because first, there was a step. Step towards it, and then you attract that. And just real quick, while I'm on this N7 tip real quick about being old school and the new school, just so I know that some of the viewers here may be, non-native or maybe outside of our network or whatever, and I want you to know that when you see that N7 insignia, this N7 insignia, it's not a commercial or whatever, but just so you know, this native guy, this indigenous worker working at Nike, had an idea. And he decided, man, how can I leverage my position at Nike to help my people? Light bulb. So he steps towards it, right? And what does he attract? He steps towards it, attracts, creates a business plan, becomes an entrepreneur instead of an entrepreneur, submits his plan and his idea to Nike. 10 years later, fast forward, N7 creates the N7 fund, right? And so any product that's ever sold that has an N7 logo on it, the proceeds go to the N7 fund. And since 2009, more than $7.5 million have gone to indigenous communities to help us stay active through sport, all because a guy working in the warehouse had an idea and took a step. He stepped towards it. Native guy, an inspired native. It was a visionary for that. It's crazy to think about how the idea can turn into something that affects so many people when you step towards it. Miraculous opportunities open up, not just for you, but for others as well. And that's, it's crazy to think about that how many people have been blessed by one person's idea and one person's step. That's pretty cool to think about. And so as I stepped towards entertainment and got to work with Nike N7, get to work with my brother Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas, and get to travel the world. What I mean by miraculous opportunities, it's amazing how almost cosmic things line up. And like I said, this works whether it's positive or negative. Those cosmic alignments line up when you're stepping towards drugs and alcohol. I remember growing up 360 degrees surrounded by addicts, alcoholics, and what they step towards, they attract. And miraculous opportunities, the cosmic alignment would do so in a way to help them use and to help them hurt, to help them be neglectful. It was crazy how the stars would almost align in a negative fashion to help them be negative and contribute to that negativity, because that's the direction they were stepping. And that's the power of stepping towards some of these old school principles in the new school. And so this is how miraculous it ends up. So I go around, got to travel, got to see some crazy events. This is my brother Taboo representing over there by Dubai. We went to Italy. This is crazy here in Malaysia. Man, nuts, bananas. And then, just to show how, when I say miraculous, I mean miraculous. I mean like even outside of strategies and plans. We did a song and a tribute video for some of our members at Standing Rock. Now I've been tight with that community for a few decades, working with Nola, DJ Two Bears, people on the ground out there, and have ties to that community. So when what happened back with No DAPL, Dakota Access Pipeline, Google that when you get a chance of all that happened with that. We wanted to help in a way that we could without getting in the way. So we did a song, this tribute video for them. No commerce, no way to make money off it, strictly YouTube, all free. And then we find out, lo and behold, MTV decides to put it in Best Fight the System video category for their MTV Music Video Award. What miraculous opportunities open. But they start with a step. So we want to be mindful of which direction we're stepping. When we talk about we can be old school in the new school, which directions are we going to step? And it was miraculous. It was crazy. It's a trip to even all of us that we get to go to the VMAs. We get to stand there. We get to go to the red carpet, which was blue, by the way. I don't know if that'll focus in for you now. It don't matter. There's nothing important on that slide. But it's just miraculous. If I step towards leadership, I attract what? Leadership. If I step towards that, then also opportunities, miraculous opportunities. Got to work for I got to speak for the First Lady during the Bush administration. I worked for Clinton administration and worked with Generation Indigenous. Got to work for Obama. And those White House opportunities opened up because we stepped towards leadership. They followed us around and miraculous opportunities opened up. And so now we get to leverage that to speak into communities. And so we go to communities and get to see the why behind the what we do. Because as I stepped towards entertainment, I attracted that. When I stepped towards leadership, I attracted that. And so we step towards our community and our young people, and we attract that. And this is the why behind the what we do. I love this picture because it's just a young person getting to hear a irrit sound for the first time. Oh my gosh, mind blown. What? I get to irrit. So whether stages that are like arenas and packed out, or small community centers and gyms, the part about this that makes the most impact for us is that this is not just a kid who gets an irrit sound. It's that they're safe. They get to be a kid. And there's no threats of violence. And for a while, they're building sober memories. And this is what it looks like when you step towards old school in the new school. We can take some of the old school principles and apply them in the new school. and take this opportunity we have to reprioritize what we used to think was important, you know? What we used to hold up as the mantra of success. What we used to be like, oh man, this is what it means to make it. You know, like we used to think that this is what was the currency of status and notability. And now we're shook figuring out who's really essential. I'll tell you right now, the DJ's the first one cut, right? First one non-essential. And events, now we can't gather. Then we find who's essential are people that maybe some of us were overlooking before. We're passing by, and we have an opportunity to re-clarify and reprioritize what's really important. And that's what I'm saying as far as currently, what I'm realizing is what's really most important is right here. We're all at our homes. We're all stuck, kind of. And that could be bad for some. It could be great for others. And my goal and hope is that I'm not an expert and all that, but my goal is to share with you some of these things that have worked for me, worked for mine, and humbly present them so that you can utilize them in a good way. And if they work for you, then great. If not, you're free to throw them away and move on. But this might help somebody out there, some of the nuts and bolts that have helped us be able to quarantine in a healthy, safe environment without threats of violence and without any of that, which is not the case for a lot of us out there. For many of us out there, some of us right now are quarantining in a not so right situation. I'm gonna give you a number at the end too to help you, and I want you right now to be thinking about your exit strategy, and we'll talk about that in a second. But for those of you that are younger, before you end up in those situations, we want to reprioritize what's most important. And so one of the things that's helped me, it wasn't always a pretty picture, you know. I didn't always have, you know, the accolades. And so, you know, like I said, it's real easy to think, oh man, those accolades were most important. Well, it's not always like that. And I can attest that it's not always like that. You know, there's realness out there in the world that a lot of us have to overcome. My mom was pregnant at 13. I like to tell people, you know, I went to 8th grade twice. First time I went to 8th grade, I went with my mom in the baby carriage to alternative school. Second time I went to 8th grade, I was an 8th grader. But growing up with that, my mom was 13, just a baby, and here I was, a baby. And so you can see a cycle starting to form. My grandmother had 2 kids by 15. She had my mom at 14, and this cycle begins to start. People come around with addictions and etc. My mom was declared unfit to raise me. And she actually had a choice between jail or Job Corps in Oregon. So she took Job Corps, and my grandma stepped in, thank goodness. But I had to face this. And so, yeah, not all of us are going to be DJs. Not all of us are going to be entertainers. Not all of us are going to be NBA stars or athletes or whatever. But we all have to face this. This is universal to us all. And it's real easy to see some of the accolades. And the reason I opened with that is because it's real easy to see some of those accolades and think that's for those people. You know, when I was younger, I got a chance in California growing up, Oak Grove High School. Some groups of us got together, and we were part of a little youth group that was trying to do urban, you know, renewal and community outreach and stuff. And we went to Bubba Paris's house, which is a 49er. And as we drove into his driveway in California, the Bay Area, his driveway was immaculate. It was always little bitty pebbles. And they were just so, like the way they were put, there were small little color on that variations to them. And when you step back, they made the 49er helmet in his driveway out of little bitty pebbles. I remember thinking, dang, we drove up that mansion driveway. And we got up to his mansion and we had our meeting in there. And I was like looking around the house thinking, this is an NFL pro athlete's house. This is his mansion. Whoa. And I'm broke, like poor. And so I was sitting there going, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I fragmented myself from that. I said, that's for those kind of people. I didn't know his story. I don't know how he got there. I don't know what he overcame. But it turns out, guess what? He's human, just like I'm human. I'm human, just like you're human. And we all have to face this at some point. We all have to navigate through this to make a difference. Let me ask you this: are these words backwards on the screen, or is that backwards to everyone, or just some of you? If that's the case, I'm gonna have to fix that. I got some stuff I want you to read here in a second. So let me make sure. Is that better? That looks better to me. Now I can't see myself, so let me pull me up over here. All right. If you're still with me, we're gonna keep going. You still with me? All right, I think that's clear. Here's how we navigate from being helpless and hopeless. That on a universal level, yes, what you step towards, you attract. Also, on a universal level, we all have to face this and feel a way to overcome, to get to that healthy place. And this is what has helped me. Don't worry, that's not a word, buffahabited. But I would like you to humor me out there, all over there. Everybody watching on Facebook land right now, I want you to put one hand on your head. Just one. You're not arrested, just one. Just put one hand on your head. Say, I have. Come on, man. And nobody's around you. You might as well say it. Say, I have a belief system. What the heck is a belief system? Glad you asked me that. Your belief system is kind of like a bank vault. It's kind of like a computer all in one. It stores and processes everything you think is right and everything you think is wrong. Everything you think is cool or uncool is stored and processed in your beliefs. Your beliefs turn into these things. Feelings. Your feelings are going to shape and mold, and over time they're going to become your actions. Your actions manifest over time and become your habits, shaping and molding your personality, ultimately leading you to your, not death, destiny. Your destiny out there is linked to the information in your belief system. So what you believe turns into feelings, turns into actions, turns into habits, makes your personality, ultimately leading to your destiny. Now, destiny is kind of a crazy word for me. You know, growing up, every time I heard the word destiny, it was always like, it is your destiny. Like, dang, that's big. I don't know how junior high or high school I could utilize the complexity of that word. Destiny seems too big, too vague. You know, I know a couple girls named Destiny, but I didn't know like how to like utilize the word destiny in my life. So destiny, I had to break that word up, and I broke it up to mean destination points in life. Your destination points in life. So like real quick, I'm gonna come around the screen. I'm gonna see from some of you guys, if you'll post on the comment section there, if you'll put a couple of positive destination points in life. What's a positive destination point in life? What would you say? Positive destination point. Got a text. Parents, yep. Positive destination point in life. Becoming a healthy parent would be that. Yep. Graduation. Yeah, I got a text. Yep. Where else? Positive destination point in life. Healthy home. Yep. Where else? positive destination point in life. There's a lot of them out there that are goals that we try to attain, right? Healthy, sober, good home life. What's the negative destination point in life? Jail, addiction, drama, right? There's plenty of them out there. Negative destination points that we can end up. Here's what's crazy. Nobody ever signs up for that list. No one ever signs up for it. No one ever says, man, I hope someday I could end up rugged. No one ever shoots for rugged. No one ever shoots for ratchet, whatever these kids use these days. No one ever shoots for that as the goal, right? So how do people end up? How do people end up in that situation? If no one shoots for it, how do you end up there? Question is, who gave us our rights and wrongs? Where did you get your rights and wrongs from? Who gave those to you? Parents again, yep. Parents, school, environment, council, hey. There's a lot of places out there where we get our rights and wrongs from. See if somebody chimed in with one. Yep. Who gave those to you? Where'd you get those in life, those healthy, those rights and wrongs? Where those come from? Where did you get those beliefs? Who told you what was right and what was wrong? Right? Here's what's crazy. Outside of deity, is anybody that you could think of, including yourself, is anybody perfect? No, right? None of us are perfect. So if none of us are perfect, and outside of a deity, every place that we get our rights and wrongs from have the ability to give us false information. Stay with me here. So parents, school teachers, my peers, my friends, media, myself, all these different contributors to my belief system, my rights and wrongs, they all have the ability to give me false information. That means that my beliefs could have false information in them. And if my beliefs get little shrapnels of false data in it, something false is called what? Something false is called a lie. And so sitting in our belief systems are these little shrapnels of false information that have landed from wherever it came from. There's slivers of it in there that land, the little lies about who we are and our beliefs. They get stuck in there. And that's what throws us off track. You good for nothing, you'll be just like your dad. Dang. Well, when you find him, tell him where I'm at. That's what I had to say. I didn't know my dad growing up. Luckily, got to meet him and got to have a restored relationship with him later in life. But if I believed that lie, if I believed it and said, good for nothing, good for nothing, good for nothing, good for nothing, what kind of feelings am I going to have? Positive, negative? What kind of actions? See what I'm saying? Habits, personality, unstable. Destination points in life end up negative, all because I believe a lie. And there's a lot of information. And sometimes in this information age we're living in, it's hard to find truth. And so my hope is that some of you out there will begin to become truth chasers. And that means, man, truth check me, truth check all your sources. And again, I'll reiterate the disclaimer from the top. I'm not an expert or anybody fancy like that. I just have some tips that have worked for me, and I want to share them humbly. Anyone can take some of these principles and apply them. And so this is one of them, is combating some of those lies in my belief system. Where did those shrapnels of false information about who I am come from? And replace those with the truth. Have to become, at some point, able to replace them with true information about, for instance, I could be old school in the new school. Well, I didn't know that at first, because I believed a lie. I believed that, to be honest with you, I believed that women were objects. And I believed that, to be a cool guy, you had to have this object with you. You had to objectify these women, and you had to own them and possess them. And if they, change their mind and like somebody else, then that's a problem. And that creates, what's crazy is the fragility of the male ego. Okay, that's a thing, and we'll talk about that. But we have to untie some of those lies, especially when it comes to reprioritizing what's most important. And right now, while we have this little timeout, my goal is that some of us can reprioritize how we're making these relationships. And if we're in toxic ones, we can begin to plan privately. Some of you guys are in some dangerous situations. So privately, begin to plan your exit strategies. And that's not just for women, that's for men too. 40% of the time in domestic violence situations, that's the woman showing violence against the man. So it's almost 50-50 there. And so if you're in one of those toxic relationships, begin to process privately your exit strategy. Okay, let me put some things together because I'm going to plan my way out of this. Okay, but for those of you that are younger, my goal and hope for you is that you would begin to take this time, this time out that you have here, and reprioritize how these relationships are made and the value of them. Because I'm telling you right now, with all the accolades and with all the cool stuff we get to be a part of, at the end of the day, this is what really matters. And this is showing us that when all those other things are stripped away from us, what really matters? What do you really have left? We got to put our value back where value goes. And so part of how we set these relationships up is with this. It's an inner thing. In, to, me, see. Say it real fast for me out there. A couple of you might have actually did that out loud. That was cool. I have a feeling that some of you said it out loud. Intimacy. Now I know that's not a term we use in the hood. I know that's not like, I know we don't go like, I mean, what's up, man? You just chewing in my intimacy. You know what I'm saying? I know we don't use that word a lot. But that's the foundational building block for how, when it comes time to build these lasting relationships, we have to be mindful of what intimacy is. And what I like about this spelling of it was that it's into me, see. That gives me a framework that it's inwards, not just outwards, it's inwards. It's not about the outer stuff, it's about the inner stuff. Because when all the outer stuff goes away, what's left? The inner qualities, the value systems. You can be old school in the new school. And so, intimacy, the inner, here's what's crazy about the being able to see inside someone. Sharing on an inner level is, it creates vulnerability. It can create such great peace and harmony and happiness, but it also makes you vulnerable to some serious, serious pain. If done inappropriately, it can produce such harm that's almost cataclysmic on the inside. That pain is a pain that Tylenol can't fix, alcohol can't fix, and you can try to medicate it with all sorts of things, but that pain is a different kind of pain. And so many of us out there have struggled with that. And so let's begin to reprioritize how we set those building blocks in place, okay? And ahead of time, hopefully ahead of time for some of you younger guys. And so just so you know, and some of you younger people out there, some of this is dotted. This is how we share intimacy. Again, this is my expert, not somebody that's like throwing you out some data here this works for you, then great. This is what worked for me. This is how I had to see intimacy as a single guy. Growing up, coming out of the club world, coming out of the DJ world, and wanting something tangible, wanting something real in the future, saying, man, someday when I get married, I'd like for it to be tangible, rich, real. I want to stay married. I want to have commitment in it, and faithfulness and honor and respect. These were things that I didn't necessarily have early on, and so I wanted to become old school values and practice them in the new school. And these are some of the tips that helped me realize that, and it was how we share our intimacy, how we share our intimacy. You'll notice this is dotted. That means I can share this intimacy form I'm about to share with you with people that in your mind you just have to pretend they keep going. I can share my words with almost an infinite amount of people. It's dotted because I can share my words with as many people as possible, really. You know what I'm saying? So there's no real limit on it. That's why they're dotted. It goes down through the floor, if you would imagine. So, but words are sacred. No matter how many people you share them with, doesn't change the value of them. We're just talking, dang, we're just talking, dang, right? We're just, what are you talking about? Well, the words are still sacred. The old ones do that. The words are powerful. Some even say, speak life into existence. They speak power. When you say things, there's weight behind that. Character behind that. Words matter. Now, they're sacred, but I can share them with 5 people. I can share them with 50 people. I can put them on Facebook Live. I can share them with maybe 100 people in a room. I can share them later on. They can rewatch it, and those words can still go out to multiplied people. Doesn't change the sacred nature of words, and it also doesn't change the fact that's the first level that we start to share our intimacy is with our words when we talk to one another. We start giving insight into who we are, where we come from, what our likes and what our dislikes are, and who we are as a person, how we got that way. All that information is sacred. And nobody has a right to that information right off the bat. If you share that enough, you'll notice that as you go up this, you start running out of room of what you can share your intimacy with. So you share the word with as many people, right? But you share your quality time with a handful. So I can speak on Facebook Live to however many people watch this and repost this. But we could only go to lunch after the quarantine. We can only go to lunch with a handful. I can only sit down physically and have quality time physically with a smaller amount of people. So as I share different levels of intimacy, the amount of people I can share it with goes down. So where I got this from is I had this vision of, all the attributes that I wanted to have in marriage and stuff, and someday, and it turns out you have a 50-50 chance, right? The divorce rate's pretty high. So I went to the church. Turns out they have the same statistics. So I started sitting down with some elders, even some ex's elders. Anyway, and sitting down with these elders, these native elders that had been, some of them had even been arranged. They've been married, 50, 60 years. Been through a lot of trials and trauma, and had came up with some of these old school values that were missing today. And I was like, whoa, hold up. How are you arranged? That was like the enemy of every Disney movie. But yet they had these beautiful family legacies to show. And I was like, oh man, okay, how do I get that? Right? I'm going to have to switch out some of these lies, exchange it for some of these truths. Starts with how I was sharing my intimacy. And who I was sharing my intimacy with. Who was I talking to? Who was I sharing my words with? Some people, you know what I'm saying? Some people aren't worth your words. That's probably for somebody right now. They probably need to hear that. Some people aren't worth your words. Just, nope, they're not worth that word. Nope, you know what? You ain't worth that word. You ain't worth words. Quality time. Who am I going to hang out with? What kind of people am I going to be around? What kind of people am I going to associate with? Who's going to be in my inner circle? Man, my circle changed up. It's crazy, and it starts to get tight. The quality is the important part of the time. Now, the reason that that's not dotted is because there's only 24 hours in a day. It's finite. So every day you have 24 golden bricks to play with, and how you spend them is what you're going to get out of life. So I used to have this mentor used to tell me, I used to tell him, man, sorry I was late, man. It's running out of time. You know what I'm saying? It's running out of time, man. He used to tell me, you have the same amount of time that Einstein did. You have the same amount of time Martin Luther King did. Dang, all right, okay. Well, it's even and it's fair. We all have the same amount of time. And as you share this with less people, this is where bonds start to form. I talk to people, okay, great, yeah, we get to bond, we get to be cool, we get to know each other, we get to relate, awesome. Then we start to spend time together. When we spend time together, you form a bond. And you think about all the people you spent time with and how there's a bond that gets formed. Some of them strong, some of them not so strong, but nonetheless, you can feel a secret, invisible, can't feel it or touch it or show it to somebody, but you can feel it, but it's on the inside. And it's this bond that gets formed because you spend time together. Man, but we spend time together, right? Quality time is going to produce a bond. And the further up you go in this, the harder that bond becomes between you. And so this next level is sharing the breath. Now this is kind of weird for some, but again, this is what helped me. I realized that part part of sharing intimacy included sharing the breath. Some call it the breath of life, but in many languages, the word breath and the word spirit are the same word root origin. That this breathing is a spiritual thing. And you know what's crazy is that you don't even have to think to breathe. It just does it. It's just autopilot. If you try to do it yourself, you might get the hiccups, mess it all up, just leave it alone. But what a cool thought to think of that is spiritual. You know, that is something to be saw as sacred. So when I share that with somebody, right, snagged up, what am I really sharing? Am I sharing something just whatever? Or am I sharing, just a kiss, I don't worry about it? Or am I sharing something spiritual? And there's a connection that can happen there. A bond that can be formed there. Whoa, hold up. Old school principles in the new school. Because you share time with someone is one thing, but if you share the breath with somebody and you're separated, you can feel that. Please know that. You're like, oh, man, where'd that person go? You know, on scroll. They left me on red, but I seen them active on Instagram. Yeah, because why? Because you shared something powerful, sacred. And anytime you share some of these in an inappropriate nature, and by inappropriate, I mean inappropriate for the two involved. When you share this with in an inappropriate time or inappropriate nature, you create inappropriate bonds. You're bonded together in an inappropriate manner. So no wonder it's not smooth and peaceful and harmonious. No wonder it's drama and weird and breakup and makeup and roller coaster. No wonder it's like that, because it was inappropriate when the bond was formed. You was talking to someone you shouldn't have been talking to, or talking when y'all shouldn't have been talking. Whatever the case is, you were spending way too much time. You were spending way too much time. You were neglecting other areas of your life that should have been reprioritized. And you created an inappropriate bond. Those bonds are out there. Those bonds happen. You share that. And if you share the breath of life long enough, guess what you're going to want to do? I mean, it's just, come on now. You want to make a life. And sharing physical intimacy. In this diagram here, illuminated this kind of, sometimes it's lonely at the top. There's a spot made for one. I don't know which side you see totally. I think you see that side. There's a spot made for one, right? So only one person can fit. Only one. There's only room up there. When you're spiritually on top, you're like, man, I'm up here. Get myself together, fasting, praying, want to do good. It's only at the top, you're spiritually on point. Too often we see relationships where two people try to cram themselves inappropriately in a spot made for one. And we see it all the time. You see the guy's got the girl in the headlock. She's got her hand in his back pocket, and they're just smashed together, and they're just like, oh man, we're so in love. Jack, don't go down with the ship. Kind of just, right? They have to be locked together, right? I've been there. I understand the power that puts, that gravity that happens, suctions y'all together inappropriately without safeguards that used to be there. And then what happens is somebody eventually needs to breathe. Eventually somebody feels suffocated. One of the two is going to be like, gosh dang, man, just need a little time to myself. That's all. Just need a little time. Dang, I just want to play ball with the friends. Jeez. She's like, dang, I just want to get my nails done. Dang, I just want to hang with the girls for a minute. 47 missed calls. What in the world? I think we need to talk. Right? You start moving down the intimacy level back down. This roller coaster of broken hearts and broken relationships start to happen. Because we started stuff inappropriately. Again, inappropriately doesn't mean like somebody's standard put on you. It means inappropriately for the wrong time of your development, the wrong time for your season, the wrong time for what you got going on, wrong time for your purpose. Inappropriate. This was a model that helped illuminate how to clarify appropriate, when and when not. That intimacy has to be balanced. This is what they practiced. There were cultural things put in place. No, I'm not saying all tribes are the same. I'm not doing that. But I am saying there were some similarities in the sense that there were rites of passage and there were these age ceremonies that would happen from time to time and from tribe to tribe that signified this coming of age and how we related to each other and how we created these relationships. And one of some of those nuggets, if you strip all the layers back, is that to share intimacy, you have to meet a prerequisite. You have to meet, you got to qualify first. You can't just jump into intimacy. You got to first have commitment. Now, some of these safeguards used to be there. We used to not be able to just walk up to a girl, walk up to a guy. You couldn't just walk up to a partner and be like, hey, what's up? You know, I just want to hit you up directly. You used to have to go through their family. Them uncles, them cousins, them brothers, them sisters, them aunties, them all got to vouch for you first. They got to look at you. They got to check your credit before you ever got close. So there was some social, cultural safeguards in place to house how relationships got formed. And some of those have been eroded. And I mean, on another chapter, we can go into the trauma and what's happened in this country and how our indigenous existence is and the trauma inflicted on us and how that's affected how we relate to each other and to ourselves. That's huge, and that's why I love Native Wellness Institute, because they handle those issues of that, of healing the trauma, so that then you can begin to get into a mind space to where you're like, you know what? I'm ready to be old school in the new school. I want these old school values in the new school. Intimacy needs to wait until commitment. Whoa, hold up. That's not what I hear. That's not what I hear in the music. It's not what I see in the videos. It's not what I see on TikTok. It's not what I see anywhere else. But if you want an old school relationship in the new school, then commitment is one of those fundamental ingredients that were there before you were allowed to be intimate. There were safeguards to protect, because again, that pain is devastating. When it's broken at that high level, when you share yourself in the breath is one thing. When you share yourself physically and that breaks, that pain is tragic. And that's like ultimately devastating. And there's no Tylenol that can fix that. It doesn't fix that, although many try to medicate with those other substances. The broken heart is such a hard thing to fix, and so it's much better for those of you that are younger watching this to have a chance to say, you know what, hold up, before I even attach myself long term, let me get myself in a place so that when I attach right, that I attach healthy, that I attach with liberty and with freedom, not with possession, not with ownership, not out of need, not out of toxicity, okay? And it happens when we choose to put commitment before the intimacy. At the level that commitment rises, intimacy can rise. Commitment first, and then intimacy. This, and then this. They have to balance each other, but commitment goes first. Intimacy can go first. Because what happens all too often, and you guys can verify this out there before I close here, is that all too often we jump into intimacy and then try to force commitment. That spoke to someone, I felt that one. We jump into intimacy for whatever lack and whatever hurt and whatever trauma. Some of us jump into intimacy as its own medication from a previous hurt, and we try to just numb ourselves with the intimacy. And then what? Now we're vulnerable. Now that they've into me seen, and now I'm insecure and I need to force commitment. I've been that guy. I've seen that side of the equation. And like I said earlier, the fragility of the male ego when faced with powerlessness of her God-given right to change her mind, that she's not an object, and that she chooses to share time with you, changes your perspective on how you see that relationship. Where I don't own her, she chooses to ride with me. What? She don't own me. I choose to ride with her. This is a choice. This is a willing, and it's not based on need. It's not based on lack. It's not trying to fill a void from something else. It's out of an abundance of what I've had and what I've been given, that now I can come to the doorstep and offer, not come with my hands out. Can I stay here? You know what I'm saying? The level of commitment first, then intimacy as consent is given. You can commitment, intimacy, and that rises. eventually you'll end up with the highest form of commitment. Whatever that word is for you, you can insert that word for yourself right now. I use the word marriage. You can use whatever word you use for the highest form of commitment. What that highest form of commitment is to you, when people are high, his form of commitment has been given to become one. And now there's this appropriate space for this healthy bond to form. And two people can ride together, interdependent of each other, right? Not based on need and lack and, oh my gosh. You get to enjoy the good, but you also get to support in the bad. And so, you know, before we close here, I want to just kind of share a little bit about that you can be old school and new school. That it's possible. Not an expert, all that super fancy stuff, but I did go from one side of the tracks to the other in the sense that of how I process relationships. And my wife and I, so lived my life very worldly and very club, if you will. Had this revelation, had this awakening of being old school to new school, sat with elders, and figured out some of these value systems and how to apply them in the new school. And when my wife and I got married, this August will be 19 years ago, we kissed for the first time at the altar. That was our first kiss. And you're like, man, this dude's weird. See, if I led with that earlier, you'd have tuned out, so I had to wait to the end. No, I told people, man, I'm not going to have sex till I get married. And they were like, you crazy. And I told people, I said, man, I'm not even going to kiss till I get married. I had church people tell me, man, you crazy. And so just to let you know, this is not a don't kiss workshop. I don't want anybody on Facebook later be mad. Oh, MC1 said I can't be kissing. Not what I'm saying. That's just what I had to do because of the track record I had. I had to re-up spiritually and get myself into a place before I had something to offer whoever she would be. 19 years this August, you know, we will have celebrated 19 years of marriage. And again, not perfect, but it's healthy in a sense that it's supportive. And in a time like this, when all the other things are stripped away, we remind ourselves what's most important. So for those of you out there right now, I want to put this number on the board. It's 1-800-7-NATIVE. If you're in a toxic relationship, and domestic violence is right now one of those situations, begin to plan your exit strategy. You can begin right now privately or when you get a chance. That's a hotline number for you to begin that process when you get a minute, if you get a second, to call in and get some help there, okay? In the meantime, be thinking of a strategy of when this is over, how you're going to put some things together, or some of you need to make some of those decisions soon and be putting some things together for that move to happen sooner than later, even at the risk of, you know, some quarantine stuff. But for those of you that are younger out there and who haven't yet, and my hope is that you might take some of these attributes and shield yourself from this and never be in that position to have to try to get out of one of those toxic relationships. That's my goal for you, is that you wouldn't have to later get out. You would set the building blocks for a legacy to come, because your steps matter. And you step towards that today, you'll attract it. And you'll have miraculous opportunities for healthy lifestyles, healthy relationships. And those steps will matter for the next 7 generations. So I appreciate you letting me take this over. I appreciate you letting me have Native Wellness Institute Power Hour. And I do want to thank NICWA, the National Indian Child Welfare Association, and NOYSE, N-O-Y-S-E Foundation, for making this possible, as well as Native Wellness Institute. Can't thank you guys enough for letting me be there. I'm going to come around and turn this screen backwards. So before I do that, this is where you can reach us. Some stuff we do in the communities. I'm going to turn this backwards and see if there's, I've got 2 minutes, see if there's any questions, comments, or concerns. Boom. I have no idea if that was even, there we go. Okay, cool. So that's backwards right now. Man, see, that Facebook Live does that weird stuff. I wonder if it changes it whenever you record it, like whenever it goes to recording, I wonder if it changes. Anyway, because it's reversed right now here on my screen. But appreciate you guys. It is now 2:59, 1 minute left on the clock. I do like being on time, so appreciate you hanging out with us today. Much love. What up, Christine? What up, Christy? Monique. Don. Nancy, what up? Theta. Dope. Lavina. I see you. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, no real hardcore questions if there was I'll try to get to, but that's your day. We appreciate you much. Signing off.